The distress call. The message played for the fifth time in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Union Council, the holographic display at the center of the room projecting the desperate face of Ambassador Sheila, her silvery skin dulled with exhaustion and fear. This is Colony Lumina of the Zillian Cooperative. We are under attack by the Scourge Armada. Our defenses have failed. They've already taken our orbital stations and outer settlements. Thousands are dead or captured. Please, we beg for immediate assistance. Our children, our people. We cannot hold much longer. The message cut to static before looping again. Councillor Drav, a tall feroci with glistening scales, tapped his long fingers against the polished table, breaking the uncomfortable silence that had fallen over the 26 representatives of the most powerful species in the galaxy. This is the third day we've watched this message, he said, his normally melodious voice tight with frustration. And still we debate while the Zillians die. High Councillor Jean, the ancient Folari who headed the council, fluttered her translucent wings in agitation. The situation is not so simple, Councillor Drav. The Scourge Armada has 15 warships in the Lumina system. No single member of this council has a response force close enough to arrive before the colony falls completely. Ambassador Krill of the Trexian Imperium, his mechanized exoskeleton whirring softly as he leaned forward, spoke next. My government has evaluated the tactical situation. The Zillian colony will fall within 36 hours. Any rescue force would arrive to find only ashes and the Scourge waiting in ambush. We cannot justify the loss of our own ships and crews in a futile gesture. Similar statements came from around the table. Calculations of distance, risk assessments, regretful declarations of inability. The Zillians were peaceful agrarians, their natural bioluminescence and empathic abilities making them beloved traders and diplomats across the galaxy. But they had settled too far from the galactic core, too distant from the protection of the Union's peacekeeping fleets. In the back of the chamber, behind the circle of counselors, a single human stood watching the proceedings. Captain Alexis Chen, Earth's junior military attaché to the Galactic Union, had listened to 3 days of debate without speaking. Now, as the Council prepared to send only their deepest regrets to the doomed Zillians, she stepped forward. The Union has made its position clear, she said, her voice carrying in the suddenly quiet chamber. Earth will respond. High Councillor Jean's compound eyes widened. Captain Chen, while we appreciate Earth's concern, your planet has only been a provisional member of the Union for 7 years. You have observer status only in military matters, which means we're not bound by Union military protocols, Chen replied evenly. My government has authorized me to inform the Council that the ESS Thunderstrike has already been dispatched to the Lumina system. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices. The Thunderstrike was Earth's newest warship, a vessel most Council species had only heard rumors about. Humans were still relative newcomers to the galactic stage, having been discovered only 15 years earlier. Their homeworld, classified as an extreme death world, had produced beings that many Council species regarded with a mixture of fascination and unease. Captain, said Ambassador Krill, you must recall your ship. The Scourge Armada has never been defeated in open combat. It will destroy any single vessel, no matter how advanced. Chen's expression remained calm. The Thunderstrike is not being sent to negotiate. It is being sent to end the threat. 1 ship against 15. Scoffed a Brellan councillor, his tentacles writhing in derision. This is suicide. Perhaps by your standards, Chen replied. But humans evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day. We adapted. We survived. The Scourge preys on peaceful species like the Zillians because they've never encountered true resistance. She looked around the chamber. They've never fought Deathworlders. Commander Ilara Voss stood on the bridge of the ESS Thunderstrike, watching the blur of hyperspace through the main viewport. At 42, she had the compact build of someone born in Earth's higher gravity, with dark skin, close-cropped gray hair, and eyes that had seen too many conflicts. Time to arrival, she asked. Lieutenant Commander Nakamura had navigation responded immediately. 6 hours, 17 minutes, Commander. We're pushing the engines to their limits. Voss nodded. 6 hours might be too late for many Zillians, but the Thunderstrike was traveling at speeds most Union ships couldn't match. Earth had kept many of their technological advancements quiet since joining the galactic community. Tactical assessment, she asked, turning to her XO, Commander Jackson Reed. Reed, a tall man with a network of old burn scars across the left side of his face, brought up a holographic display of the Lumina system based on the latest intelligence. 15 Scourge vessels surrounding the colony world. Their typical pattern is to strip a planet of resources and take captives for their slave markets. They don't expect resistance, and they certainly don't expect us. The Zillians, Voss asked, her voice softening slightly. Dr. Maya Patel, the ship's xenobiologist, stepped forward. They're empaths. Commander, non-violent by both culture and biology. They literally feel the pain of others. The psychological trauma they're experiencing must be. She trailed off, unable to find adequate words. Voss's jaw tightened. Then we make sure no more harm comes to them. She addressed the entire bridge crew. I want all department heads in tactical briefing in 30 minutes, and contact Lieutenant Alvarez. I want his strike force ready the moment we arrive. As the officers moved to comply, Voss turned back to the viewport, her reflection ghostly against the streaming lights of hyperspace. The Scourge thinks they're hunters, she said quietly to Reed. Time they learned what it means to become prey. On the Zillian colony world of Lumina, Ambassador Sheila huddled with her people in the central sanctuary of Lumina City. Once a beautiful crystal dome designed to amplify their natural bioluminescence in spectacular light displays, it now served as the last shelter for thousands of terrified Zillians. The invaders, brutal warriors from a dozen different species united under the banner of the Scourge, had systematically destroyed their settlements, captured their ships, and rounded up thousands for their notorious slave markets. The Zillians, with no weapons and no natural defenses, could only retreat and hide. Sheila winced as another wave of pain and fear washed over her from her connected people. As empaths, they experienced each death, each injury as echoes through their collective consciousness. Children cried softly, their natural glow dimmed to almost nothing in their distress. One of her aides approached, his steps unsteady with exhaustion. Ambassador, there's been no response to our distress call. The Union, he faltered. The Union will come, Sheila said with more confidence than she felt. The Galactic Union prided itself on its civilized cooperation, its advancement beyond primitive warfare. But facing the savage brutality of the Scourge, she wondered if civilization might prove too fragile. A thunderous explosion shook the sanctuary, dust falling from the crystal ceiling. The Scourge were getting closer, methodically destroying each district of the city. We should have another day before they reach us, said her security chief, one of the few Zillians with any training in conflict scenarios. Perhaps a miracle will happen. Sheila looked up at the stars visible through the crystal dome. The Zillian belief system held that all life was connected across the cosmos, that suffering could not exist in one place without calling forth compassion from another. Someone will come, she whispered. They must. Aboard the Scourge command ship Ravager, Warlord Kraz surveyed the progress of his fleet with satisfaction. The Zillian colony was falling exactly according to plan. Minimal resistance, maximum profit. Their ships and technology would be stripped for parts, their artistic treasures sold to collectors in the lawless sectors, and the Zillians themselves would fetch high prices in the slave markets. Empaths were always in demand. Send the third wave into the central city, he ordered his lieutenant, a reptilian Vosk with scurred scales and cybernetic enhancements. I want the main population center secured by tomorrow. Yes, Warlord, the lieutenant hissed. Our scouts report they've gathered in the central sanctuary. No weapons, no defenses. Kraz's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of pleasure in his species. Excellent. This colony will. He was interrupted by an urgent signal from his sensor officer. Warlord. Hyperspace disturbance detected at the edge of the system. Kraz frowned. Identification. Unknown design. Not in our database. Size suggests a medium cruiser class, but the energy signature is unusual. A rescue attempt. Kraz laughed, his fangs gleaming in the harsh light of the bridge. One ship. The Union grows desperate. Bring up visual. The main screen flickered to life, showing a vessel emerging from hyperspace. Unlike the elegant, rounded designs favored by most Union species, this ship was angular, almost predatory in appearance, with hull plating that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. Magnify, Kraz ordered, something like unease stirring in his gut. As the image enlarged, he could make out markings on the hull, ESSTHUND and below it, a symbol he didn't recognize, a blue circle showing a planet with continents. Send 3 interceptors, he commanded. Let's welcome our foolish rescuers. Little did Kraz know that the hunters were about to become the hunted, as humanity's response to the distress call had arrived. Not with diplomats, not with aid workers, but with warriors born from the most dangerous planet in known space. Deathworlders unleashed. The 3 Scourge interceptors accelerated toward the lone Earth vessel, weapons charged and ready to fire. On their bridges, the pirate crews laughed among themselves. One ship against their entire armada was suicide, and they would enjoy making an example of these would-be heroes. Aboard the Thunderstrike, Commander Voss watched the approaching enemies with the calm focus of a predator. Combat stations, shield configuration Delta, weapons hold until my mark. Throughout the ship, human crew members moved with practiced efficiency. Unlike the various Union species that specialized in single tasks according to their evolutionary advantages, humans were adaptable generalists, the apex predators of their deadly homeworld. They're hailing us, reported Communications Officer Jung. Put them through, Voss ordered. The main screen displayed the face of a Scourge captain, a fanged Viziri with ritual scars crisscrossing his features. Unidentified vessel, this system is now under Scourge control. Surrender immediately, and your crew will be sold intact. Resist, and we'll deliver you in pieces. Voss stood, her posture relaxed but alert. This is Commander Ilara Voss of the Earth Starship Thunderstrike. We've received a distress call from the Zillian colony and are here to respond. The Scourge captain's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Earth, the death world. We've heard rumors of your kind. Time to see if you live up to the stories. You have 10 seconds to power down your systems. Voss cut the transmission with a hand gesture. Battle plan, Kestrel. Execute. What happened next would later be described in Scourge survivor accounts as impossible. The Thunderstrike didn't try to evade or return fire as expected. Instead, it accelerated directly toward the lead interceptor at a speed that defied conventional physics. Micro-jump complete, reported Nakamura as the Thunderstrike reappeared behind the Scourge formation. Before the interceptors could react, targeted pulse cannons fired with surgical precision, disabling their engines and weapons systems without destroying the vessels. 3 targets neutralized, reported Tactical Officer Dias. No casualties detected. Good, said Voss. We want prisoners for intelligence. Proceed to Phase 2. The Thunderstrike surged toward the main planet, its advanced stealth systems activating to reduce its sensor profile. On the main Scourge vessel, Warlord Kraz was receiving confused reports of the interceptor's sudden defeat. Impossible, he roared, smashing a control panel with his armored fist. No single ship can outmaneuver 3 attackers. His sensor officer worked frantically. We've lost track of the Earth vessel. Their stealth technology is unlike anything in our database. Kraz snarled orders to his fleet. Full alert. Find that ship. All vessels prepare for. Warlord, interrupted the communications officer. We're detecting multiple launches from the Earth ship, small craft headed for the surface near Lumina City. They're landing troops. Kraz laughed darkly. Let them. Our forces on the ground will slaughter any rescue party. Lieutenant Diego Alvarez led Strike Force Alpha through the burning outskirts of Lumina City. 12 men and women in advanced combat exoskeletons moved silently through the destruction, their helmets providing enhanced sensory input and their weapons loaded with specialized ammunition. Central Sanctuary is 2 kilometers northeast, Alvarez said over the secure comm. Intelligence shows approximately 200 Scourge ground forces between us and the Zillian refugees. Sergeant Lin, the team's scout, reported from her advanced position. Enemy patrol approaching. Sir, 8 combatants, mixed species. Capture 1 for intel if possible, Alvarez ordered. Minimal casualties. What followed would have shocked most Union observers. The human strike team didn't fight like any soldiers the Scourge had encountered before. They didn't rely on overwhelming force or technology alone. They used terrain, psychology, coordination, and adaptation. When the Scourge patrol passed through a narrow street, sleeping gas canisters dropped from overhead. When 2 pirates remained conscious due to their species' immunity to the gas, precisely aimed non-lethal rounds incapacitated them before they could raise an alarm. 1 was secured for questioning. The team moved on, encountering and neutralizing 3 more patrols using different tactics each time. No 2 engagements followed the same pattern, making it impossible for the Scourge to predict or counter their approach. Inside the Crystal Sanctuary, Ambassador Sheila suddenly straightened, her antennae quivering. Something has changed, she told her advisors. I sense, minds unlike any I've known before. The Scourge? Asked a frightened aide. No, Sheila said slowly. These minds are complex, disciplined yet passionate, fearful yet brave, violent yet protective. She struggled to interpret the unfamiliar emotional patterns. They are coming toward us, but I don't sense the same malice as the Scourge. A distant explosion rattled the crystal walls, followed by another, then silence. Minutes later, the sanctuary's communication system crackled to life with a voice speaking in accented but understandable galactic standard. Ambassador Sheila, this is Lieutenant Alvarez of Earth's Special Response Force. We've secured the perimeter around your position and are approaching the main entrance. Please don't be alarmed by our appearance. The Zillians looked at each other in confusion. Earth, the mysterious death world that had joined the Union recently. Before they could respond, the massive doors of the sanctuary slid open, and armored figures entered, bipedal beings moving with a predatory grace that made some Zillians instinctively recoil. Alvarez removed his helmet, revealing a human face with warm brown skin, dark eyes, and a reassuring smile that somehow made his fierce appearance more rather than less intimidating, a predator choosing not to harm. The ESS Thunderstrike responded to your distress call, he explained. Commander Voss sends her respects and promises that no more harm will come to your people. He gestured to his team, who were already establishing defensive positions and medical aid stations. We need to evacuate the wounded immediately. Our ship is engaging the Scourge fleet, but we don't have much time. Sheila stepped forward, her natural luminescence brightening slightly with hope. The Union sent you. Just 1 ship. Alvarez's expression hardened slightly. The Union decided rescue was impossible. Earth decided differently. He softened again. It's what we do. Above the planet, the battle had escalated dramatically. The Thunderstrike was no longer hiding. It danced through the Scourge fleet like lightning, its advanced weapons targeting propulsion and weapon systems rather than inflicting maximum damage. They're adapting to our attack pattern, reported Tactical Officer Diaz as a Scourge blast glanced off their shields. Commander Voss nodded. As expected, time for Phase 3. She opened a channel to engineering. Chief Santiago, status on the EMP warheads. Armed and ready, Commander, came the response. Voss studied the tactical display, where 15 Scourge vessels, now reduced to 12 operational ships, were attempting to coordinate their attacks on the much smaller Thunderstrike. Target their command ship first, she ordered. Then deploy in sequence. Timing is everything. The Thunderstrike launched what appeared to be conventional missiles toward the Scourge vessels. The pirates deployed countermeasures, destroying most of the projectiles. But not all. Those that reached their targets didn't explode. Instead, they released precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses that cascaded through the Scourge ship's systems, shutting down weapons, shields, and engines without harming the crews or captives aboard. One by one, the mighty Scourge fleet went dark, drifting helplessly in space. On the Ravager, Warlord Kraz clutched his command chair as emergency lights flickered on. What happened? He roared. Some kind of targeted EMP, his chief engineer reported frantically. I've never seen anything like it. It bypassed our safeguards as if they weren't there. Restore power. Restore weapons, Kraz demanded. Impossible. The systems are fried. It would take days to. The bridge doors slid open, revealing armored humans with weapons raised. Commander Voss walked in, flanked by security officers. Unlike her troops, she wore only a standard uniform, yet somehow appeared more dangerous. Warlord Kraz, she said, her voice level. Your fleet is disabled. Your ground forces have been neutralized. The Zillians are under our protection now. Kraz snarled, reaching for a concealed weapon, but found himself slammed against the bulkhead before he could complete the motion. Voss's forearm, against his throat with shocking strength. I could kill you right now, she said quietly, so only he could hear. Part of me wants to, after seeing what you've done to the Zillians. But that's not why we're here. She released him, and he slumped to the floor, gasping. What? What are you? He wheezed. Voss looked down at him. We're humans. We evolved on a planet where everything, the weather, the animals, even the plants, tried to kill us. We survived because we learned to cooperate, to protect each other, to fight only when necessary but with everything we have when we must. She gestured to her officers to secure the bridge. The Union thinks we're barbarians because we still maintain military forces when they've largely abandoned them. They don't understand that peace must sometimes be defended with force. Kraz was led away in restraints, his once feared armada now reduced to floating hulks, his fearsome reputation shattered by a single Earth vessel. 1 week later, Ambassador Sheila stood in the slowly rebuilding central plaza of Lumina City. Beside her was Commander Voss, out of uniform in diplomatic dress, watching as human engineers worked alongside Zillians to restore power and communications. Your people fight with such skill, Sheila observed, yet you rebuild with equal dedication. Voss smiled slightly. Both are survival skills we learned on Earth. Destroy what threatens you, build what sustains you. The Union Council has been in emergency session since receiving news of your victory, Sheila said. Many species are reevaluating their understanding of humans. Good, Voss replied. We didn't join the galactic community to be feared, but we won't apologize for being effective protectors. A group of Zillian children approached cautiously, their natural glow pulsing with curiosity rather than fear now. One small child offered Voss a crystal flower, a traditional Zillian symbol of life and renewal. As Voss accepted it with surprising gentleness, Sheila felt the emotional emanations from the human commander, complex layers of protectiveness, satisfaction, grief for those they couldn't save, and determination. Emotions like a storm compared to the gentle rain of Zillian feelings, yet containing the same essential elements. When we sent our distress call, Sheila said softly, we expected aid workers, diplomats, perhaps a few lightly armed peacekeepers. Instead, Earth sent warriors. Voss looked at the children, now cautiously interacting with off-duty human crew members. Sometimes, Ambassador, what the galaxy needs isn't more diplomats. It's someone willing to stand between the innocent and those who would harm them. She turned to meet Sheila's iridescent eyes. That's the promise Earth makes to its allies. It's who we are. As the Zillian sun set over the rebuilding colony, its light caught the hull of the Thunderstrike in orbit above. transforming the warship briefly into something that looked almost like a guardian star. The galaxy was changing, awakening to the reality that the Death Worlders had arrived, not to conquer, but to protect. And woe to those who threatened what humans had decided to defend. The message sent back to Earth from Commander Voss was brief. Mission accomplished. The Zillians are safe. The Scourge Armada is no more. Humanity has made its point. The reply from Earth High Command was equally succinct. Well done, Thunderstrike. Come home when you're ready. There are other calls to answer.